Friends, today we're gonna check that how to include files in a JSP page. Now friends, there is a reason why we have took this lecture right away. The reason is that including a file in a JSP page is a very common operation, and it is very important to understand that how to include a file in a JSP page and when to use which method to include the file in the JSP page. Now in JSP there are two ways using which we can include a file in a JSP page. To start with, let us add a JSP file in here. The name could be like including one.jsp, and let's click on finish. Here we go, and definitely we would require two files in order to include them in this particular JSP file. So let us create a file. The name of the file would be one.txt. The text could be like this as one. Again, we would add a new file in here. Oops, we need to add it in here in order to get the path easily. So in here we would add the file 2.txt, and obviously the text would be this as 2. Looks perfect. Now let us include these files in this JSP page. Firstly, we will go with the include directive, and the way to include this file in this particular JSP page is pretty easy. Opening tag, percentage, then ampersand symbolizes directive. Then we need to type in include file and the name of the file, which is one.txt. Now friends, I have kept these files along with the JSP file in order to make things simpler, and we need not to worry about the path or the complete path of the file. So let us now execute this program and check whether this works or not. The system is taking some time. In fact, Eclipse is not responding as of now. And okay, let me save. Always use the server when running this project. Let's click on next, click on finish, and rather it is taking a longer time today. Here we go. So the text is on the console and we are up and running. The second way to do the same is like this. We can make use of JSP include, and the page would be obviously 2.txt. Let me save the program and let us again execute the program. Here we go. So this is 1, this is 2. So the content from the both text is being seen on the web page. Let me add a BR tag in order to make things more cleaner in. Here we go. So both the statement works perfectly. There is no issue with it. But why there are two different methodology to add a file into a JSP page? Now let's understand that. Now the reason why there are two ways to include the file is simple. The first method is being used for static content. Let me add a comment in here. Used to add static content. Now what is static content? The content which we know that will not change. And whenever you know that the content may change, then use the second way, JSP include way. So whenever the content is of dynamic nature, then use the second way. So let me comment it as used for dynamic content. There we go. Now let us understand more about these two types of including files. And now before discussing about these two type of includes, I need to also tell you guys that not only text, we can include any file, rather may it be HTML file, may it be JSP file. So there is no restriction as such. So now let's talk about this static type of include, or in other words include directive. Now in this particular way, this is more like copying the content of the file directly on the web page. And whenever we execute the program, before the interpretation or before the compilation of the JSP page, the content gets pasted on this particular page by the Tomcat server. So the content of this text would be treated as a part of the original JSP. For example, the content of this 1.txt would be treated by Tomcat server as a part of including 1.jsp file, which is this particular file which is opened in front of us. Whereas if we talk about this JSP include, this particular file would be loaded at the runtime. Means if we refresh the page, the JSP call would be made to this file and the current content of the file would be loaded. This is the reason why when we talk about static content, this particular way is preferred, whereas when we know that the file is of dynamic nature, this particular format of including a file is preferred. And do keep a note of this. This is important because many a time this may create issues in your program. Using a proper include statement is rather important for the simple reason because many a time these statements may cause issues. For example, if you include this include directive in order to add a dynamic content, many a time the latest version of the dynamic content may not be loaded into your page and there would be an issue. So it is important to take a note of it, and this is really important. I hope I have made myself clear. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.